To have biological children of your own is often considered to be a natural way of life. But for hundreds of thousands of women worldwide, that has not even been a remote possibility because of infertility due to a defect or an absence of the uterus. Now, after more than a decade of research, scientists and personnel at the University of Gothenburg and Sahlgrenska University Hospital are ready to carry out their first uterus transplant. The very idea of transplanting a uterus came about in 1998, after gynecology surgeon Mats Brännström had removed the uterus from a young Australian woman due to cancer.
And I had to tell her that she will be cured from her cancer, but she cannot become a mother because she doesn't have a uterus. And then she suggested to me, why can't you transplant the uterus from my mother into me? I discussed this with my colleague Ash Hanafi, and we said, well, this may be a possibility. And then when I got back to Sweden in 1999, I started to do a research project on this, an animal-based research project, and I got a very good PhD student who was very good in microsurgery in small animals, and she did a uterus transplantation in the mouse, and the mouse is of course just this big, and she was able to, for the first time in the world, to demonstrate pregnancies and normal pregnancies in a transplanted uterus, but in the mouse.
And I remember it was 9 o'clock in the evening. I was still in the lab, and I could see that there was two fetuses in this mouse, and I called Mats, and I was very happy because I could see that, realized that it's working. When I succeeded with the transplantation in mouse, it was like to set the first cornerstone, in the today 13-year research in this area.
During these years of intense research, the tests continued with larger animals, all the way up to baboons, to get more and more human-like settings and perfect the surgical techniques.
Since it is a non-life-saving transplantation, we consider that to make it ethically clear, we have to do all the precautions we can to make it as safe as possible before we introduce it in humans. And to do that, you can't really skip that step with non-human primates, because that is as close to humans as you can get. And if we know that we can master the process in non-human primates, we have done our best to make the procedure as safe as possible. We know that these people, both the donor and the recipients, are healthy. Otherwise, they're not accepted to be in this kind of surgery. But there's always a risk with anesthesia. There's always a risk with surgery. We know that the donor surgery here is very low risk. We do it commonly in Sweden today.
When the uterus is taken from the donor, an incision is made in the lower abdomen. The operation consists of removing the complete uterus from the surrounding tissue. After the uterus has been detached from the donor, it is placed on a bed of ice, and blood vessels to the uterus are flushed with preservation solution. From the time the organ has been lifted into the receiver, it takes between 20 and 40 minutes before the new blood vessels begin to function. When the blood circulation is working effectively, the uterus is connected to the patient's vaginal top and fixed in the pelvis. Approximately 15% of all women are infertile, half of 1% due to a defect or an absence of the uterus. In Sweden alone, approximately 2,000 women between the ages of 20 and 40 are potential candidates for a uterus transplant.
Before surgery, we have done in vitro fertilization, so we have embryos stored, so we know there is a fertility in the couple. And after surgery, the woman is on immunosuppression, and we will check the levels of immunosuppression, and we also will check that we will not get a rejection. And then we will wait for 1 year until we try to get a pregnancy in this uterus, and then we do this by putting embryos back one by embryo transfer procedure, as you do in IVF.
After a successful birth of a child, the uterus will be removed within a few weeks, unless the couple want to have another child. And after years of research, the chances of the uterus transplantation project being a success are very good.
We have succeeded in rodents, we have succeeded in large animals, we have not produced children or infants in non-human primates, but we consider it's going to be easier in humans. So we think we know that we have a good chance of getting children.
I think the best reward we can get is really, of course, for all this research is when we see a healthy live baby being born from one of our patients.